Hey there! If you love the national parks as much as I do, then you might be looking for a great place to visit during the winter. Let's talk about my favorite national parks to visit during the winter months. My name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes, and today I want to talk all about my favorite winter national parks. Now, these are national parks that are nice and warm in the winter, and so if you're looking to escape the snow, if you're looking for some warmer temperatures, some hikes that you can do, some parks that you can get out and explore during their peak season, then this is the list for you. What I won't include here is parks that are great during the winter months but have lots of snow and get really cold, just because sometimes you're looking for a getaway and you don't want to be in the snow. So let's talk about these fabulous winter national parks. So if I'm being honest, probably my favorite national park to visit during the winter is Death Valley. If you've not heard of Death Valley, it's the lowest, hottest, and driest national park. And so it sees temperatures that well exceed what's comfortable during the summer months. You're talking up to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. And so I really love visiting Death Valley in the winter months. That's the peak season in Death Valley because you can still get out and explore. The temperatures are comfortable enough that your skin isn't roasting. And so it's a really great winter destination. The main season in Death Valley is from November through March. That's when you'll typically see temperatures around the 60s or 70s during the day. And so it's really nice to get out and explore the park at this time because it's not too hot and everything is open. Some of my favorite activities at Death Valley are Badwater Basin. So Badwater Basin is where you'll go if you want to stand at the lowest point in Death Valley. This is well below sea level and you can walk out on the flats here and kind of explore this area. It's gorgeous. Another really fun place to go is the Mesquite Sand Dunes. This is just like a giant sandbox, and so I really like taking my kids here too. They love playing here, and we can easily spend a few hours here playing in the sand, hiking around, and soaking in the views. And then you've got Dante's View, which is a gorgeous overlook that looks over all of Death Valley. And so that's a really nice place to go if you're looking for some big, expansive views. But that's by no means an all-inclusive list. So if you click on over to Dirt in My Shoes, you can see all the things that I think you shouldn't miss on a first visit. There's lots to do here. This national park is huge. It's the biggest park in the contiguous United States. You're talking over 3 million acres of things to do here. And so it's a great place to come in the winter. It stays nice and warm. There are so many activities, and I know you're gonna love it. If we take a look at the map here, I'll just show you where Death Valley is located. So it's located right here along the California-Nevada border, and you're looking at about a 2.5-hour drive from Las Vegas to get into Death Valley here. Another fabulous park to visit during the winter is Big Bend National Park. A lot of people don't know about Big Bend. It's kind of one of those underrated, under the radar national parks that is just so cool and so much fun to visit. Big Bend has dramatic canyons, has beautiful night skies. It's got a gorgeous river, the Rio Grande River going through it. And winter is the perfect time to be out here hiking and exploring this very remote national park. The main season in Big Bend is from October through April. So that again is when you'll find those comfortable temperatures. You're talking 60s to 70s. You can be out hiking, you can be out exploring, and it's not too uncomfortable. And so I really like visiting Big Bend before March if I can, because once March hits, that's when the spring breakers start to show up, things get really busy. And so if you can go a little bit earlier in the winter months, that would be ideal. Some of my favorite things to do here is to hike out to Santa Elena Canyon. It's just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful views of the Rio Grande River. You can go up into the mountains. Big Bend does have some mountains, the Chisos Mountains. You can go up into that area and hike around. That's where you'll get more of the mountain views. That's where you'll find more wildlife. And so that's a really fun place to visit. And there's also some gorgeous places you can go to catch sunset right along the Rio Grande. You can go to some hot springs. There's some off-roading you can do. There's so much to do in Big Bend. On Dirt in My Shoes, again, I have a list of 10 things that you can't miss. So if you're looking for those activity options, you want to see what Big Bend is all about, then definitely click on over and learn more about this gorgeous national park. Now, you might be wondering, where is Big Bend? I've never even heard of Big Bend. Where is it? So I'm going to show you on a map. If you take a look here, it's down towards the bottom of Texas. So Texas is huge, as you can see, but it's West Texas right down here on this little edge of Texas. And it's this whole area here right along the Rio Grande River here. So it is very remote. It's hard to get to. You'll notice there's not really any big towns around here. You know, the closest town that you've probably even heard of maybe is something up along this highway here, but Alpine is really the main town that you'll want to stay in if you're not staying in the park. You could do Alpine or Terlingua, but there's really not much here. Something that's super cool about Big Bend is because it is right on the border of Mexico, you actually can enter Mexico from here. So what we like to do and what's really fun is go into Boquillas over here. There is a port of entry there and you can ride a donkey over to the town and get some really great Mexican food. So it's a really cool experience. You get a cultural experience being down at the bottom of Texas, right next to Mexico. You're in the middle of nowhere, so it's a unique experience in a very beautiful national park. Another fabulous national park to visit during the winter, if you're hoping to be warm, is Saguaro National Park. Saguaro National Park has the famous saguaro cactus, the icon of the West. They are massive, beautiful. You'll love exploring this desert landscape. Your peak season in Saguaro is from November through April, and so that's when everything's open. That's when the temperatures are nice and cool. You're talking 60s to 70s during the day, and so you can get out, you can hike, you can explore this park really well without getting heat stroke. Saguaro is a relatively small national park, but you will find some great views on the Valley View Trail or the Cactus Forest Loop Drive. There's some other really cool hikes you can do, and there's some locations nearby that are really cool for exploring that aren't necessarily in the national park, but are right next to it. I have a list of the 5 things you can't miss on your first visit to Saguaro. This national park is a little bit unique in that it's split between 2 different sections, and it has the town of Tucson in the middle, which really isn't a town, it's a city, it's a big place. And so there isn't a whole lot to do in Saguaro as far as on a first-time visit, things you can't miss, but it will take you a couple of days to get through these things because of the way the park is set up. So taking a look at the map here, and this is what's really unique, is you've got the city of Tucson here, and then you've got Saguaro West over here, and then you've got Saguaro East over here. And so it's split into 2 different places. Makes it really convenient if you want to stay in Tucson and explore both sides. But again, I would plan on about a day in this area of the park and another day over here. For another park to visit during the winter, I added in Zion National Park to this list. And Zion is different from the other ones we've already talked about because it does get snow, it does get a little bit colder, but I had to mention it because this is my favorite time to visit this park. So Zion National Park is one of the most high adventure national parks in the National Park Service. There is so much to do. You can hike to the tops of mountains, you can rappel into slot canyons, you can bike along the river. There is just so many fun adventures to have here. You can visit this park at any time, and it's a really good year-round park. However, for me personally, and I'm from Utah, so I visit Zion a lot, but for me personally, I don't love visiting Zion during the summer because it does just get too hot. It can be more than 100 degrees every day, and I like to be there when it's not quite as busy and not quite as hot. So from December through March, excluding the holiday weekends, you can expect a much quieter experience and it's much cooler in this park. But the nice thing is you can still typically do a lot of the activities here. Not a lot closes down in the winter. And so that's why I add it to my list of just a favorite winter destination, because I definitely prefer coming here in the cooler months of the year. Your average temperature during the winter is usually around 50 degrees during the days, but it gets really cold at night, so camping might not be as ideal. But again, I think it's worth coming when it's a little bit cooler and a little bit quieter. Some of the coolest things to do in Zion are the trail to Angel's Landing, which is very popular. You've also got the trail through the Narrows, which is extremely popular. Both are super cool trails. The thing about these ones is if you visit in the winter, then you will either need special gear or you'll just need to cut those out because it does snow here. It can get a little icy on those trails. And so you'll want to keep that in mind. But as far as other activities go, if you stick to the park's lower elevations, you can still get to the Emerald Pools. You can still hike the Parousse Trail, the Riverside Walk. There are still a lot of things that you can do in Zion. On Dirt in My Shoes, you'll see the 10 things you can't miss on your first visit to Zion. You'll get more information about all of these stops, including what is best to do during the winter and what you might not be able to get to. Truthfully, and I kind of already talked about this, but it is worth it to me to come in either the shoulder season or the winter because of just the overwhelming crowds in Zion during the summer. And so if you don't want to go exactly during the winter months, if you're still hoping to go before the snow flies, then a visit in November can be really, really nice. I've hiked the Narrows in November. It was cold. We had to have special suits, but it's definitely doable. Angel's Landing is still doable at that time. So this might be a good park to put closer to Thanksgiving versus Christmas or New Year's. But again, it is so nice to be here when it's just not as crowded. Looking at a map, Zion National Park is located at the very bottom of Utah. So we've got Utah here. We've got St. George, which is the main city in this area. You're not too far from Vegas if you go down here. So it's in a really good location for also seeing other national parks. You've got Bryce Canyon right here. You've got the Grand Canyon kind of down in here. So it's a really nice winter destination, but it's good at any time. And you're close to things. It's not too rural. There's a lot to do in this area to keep you busy for a very long time. For my next pick of a fabulous winter national park, we're heading back to California and visiting Joshua Tree. So Joshua Tree National Park is a fabulous place to go during the winter. It's located right next to Palm Springs, which is known to be a very hot and dry place. And so it's really nice to be here during the winter months. Joshua Tree National Park is where two major desert ecosystems converge. You'll find cacti, you'll find crazy rocks, and then of course the beautiful Joshua trees that are so fun to see out in the wild. The main season to be in Joshua Tree is from October through April, and again, that's when you'll get those nice, comfortable temperatures, 60s, 70s, really sunny days, perfect weather for getting out and exploring. The main reason that you'll want to visit Joshua Tree during the winter is so that you can go rock climbing. Joshua Tree is super famous for its rock climbing. It's an awesome experience, one of the funnest things you can do in this park. And the rock climbing is best if it's not extremely hot outside. And so you'll definitely want to come during these winter months to go rock climbing and to really enjoy what Joshua Tree is all about. Another option, you can walk through the Cholla Cactus Garden. You can hike to the top of Ryan Mountain. You can explore Hidden Valley, which is a really nice nature trail through the Joshua trees. So there are some fabulous things to do here in this park. Click on over to Dirt in My Shoes to get this list of things you absolutely don't want to miss on your first visit to Joshua Tree. I'll walk you through all the really cool things you can do here. Joshua Tree is located in Southern California, right here. And so you'll see here's Palm Springs right here, just outside. You've got San Diego close. You're not that far from Los Angeles. And so this park does stay pretty busy throughout the winter because of its proximity to some of these bigger cities. You'll also want to note that Joshua Tree is relatively close to Death Valley. They're not too far apart. You'll drive through the Mojave Desert to get there, and so it can be really fun to try to hit both parks in one trip. And last, but certainly not least, is Everglades National Park. So we're heading to the East Coast, going down to Florida. Florida is a fabulous winter destination. You can go to the beaches, you can go to the theme parks. It's really nice, but Everglades is definitely somewhere that you should add on to your winter national park vacation. Everglades is an incredibly diverse ecosystem. You'll be in this tropical area with lots of creatures, alligators, tons of birds, crocodiles, snakes, panthers, all sorts of stuff live in the Everglades. So it's a really cool place to visit, and it's definitely preferable to visit during the winter months. Everglades really only has 2 seasons, the wet season and the dry season. So the dry season is those winter months, typically December through April or so is when you'll get that nice dry weather, cooler temperatures, less humidity, and less bugs. If you visit during the wet season, which is those summer months, that's when you're getting into hurricane season, hotter temperatures, lots of humidity, not as much wildlife sightings because the wildlife isn't out. So definitely try to plan a trip to the Everglades during the winter months or the dry season. It makes a huge difference in what you're able to see and do in this park. Some of my favorite things to do in the Everglades is to hike the Anhinga Trail so I can try to find alligators. You can take an airboat tour, which is really cool. You can go to Shark Valley, which is really fun. You can take a tram tour in Shark Valley or you can bike through there, but you go out to this observation tower that gives you great views of the Everglades. And it's also just an awesome place to go if you're wanting to see some alligators. Here's the can't miss list for the Everglades on Dirt in My Shoes. You'll see there's lots of good information, lots of cool things you can do here, lots of wildlife you can see. Everglades is located in a really cool location, so it's all the way at the bottom of Florida, right next to Miami. You're also really close to a couple of other national parks. So taking a look at the map, you'll see here's Miami here. That's typically where you'll fly into to get to the Everglades, which is down here. It actually stretches all the way over here to Everglades City and includes all of this. So it's a very large national park. It covers a lot of ground, but you are close to Miami. Another really cool thing about the Everglades is that you're close to Biscayne National Park, which is out here. And then if you want to take a little drive down the Florida Keys, you can get out here to Key West, which is then where you'll go to visit Dry Tortugas. So you're in a really cool location in Florida. You could easily spend a couple of weeks here just visiting the national parks in this area. Okay, so that's my list of my favorite national parks to visit during the winter if I want to be warm, if I want to be able to do all the fun things that you can do in these parks. You might be thinking, well, she didn't mention some of these other nice warm parks. And so I did want to talk about those for a minute. In case you're looking to go to a faraway beach or somewhere that's a little bit harder to get to, but you're wanting to be warm, there is a national park in the U.S. Virgin Islands. There's one in American Samoa, and there are 2 gorgeous national parks out in Hawaii. And so if you're wanting to be warm, if you're wanting to go on a more faraway beach, exotic vacation, then those are great options too. I hope that you have a fabulous winter vacation to any of these national parks. And remember, if you need any help planning your trip to these parks, you can just click on over to Dirt in My Shoes and I will help you make your dream trip a reality. Happy trails!